What are some of the greatest NBA what-ifs? Well, many of them have to do with certain players getting the titles that they desperately wanted or deserved. Or if certain squads or duos never broke up. Like if Michael Jordan didn't retire the second time because the Bulls kept his team together to go for the seventh heaven. Or if Kobe and Shaq worked out their differences in order to lead the Lakers to even more titles together. Another, though, is that of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Two players of immense talent and ability, but couldn't handle one another personally, and thus separated. Some people think a reunion for the two is possible right now, but a key NBA insider disagrees. Reunion not likely. Ever since the Kevin Durant trade saga began, NBA fans and pundits have been buzzing in the offseason. With arguably one of the biggest names in basketball demanding a trade, the community has been scouring through the trade ideas for the forward. While the trade rumors have only grown louder by the day, despite weeks passing by after KD's trade demands, the Nets haven't moved an inch. Ever since the offseason saw the trade of Rudy Gobert, Durant's trade stock has skyrocketed. This has only led to offers by multiple contenders being rejected. Given how Brooklyn has not budged and has improved their roster, predicting KD's future with the Nets might be a coin flip. Recently, ESPN's Tim McMahon had a rather interesting comment on NBA Today. The insider revealed that the Nets being interested in replacing Kyrie Irving for Russell Westbrook if Durant stays is simply impossible, and that we surely won't see the duo of Russ and KD playing together anytime soon. Anything is possible, except for a KD-Russ reunion. While KD did play with Russ back in the day on the Oklahoma City Thunder, the two could never find any significant success with each other. Despite being at the peak of their powers, in one way or another, the duo never fulfilled their promise. Not to forget, things got pretty messy between the two when Durant decided to leave the Thunder and join the Golden State Warriors instead. Given that Westbrook's trade value is at an all-time low and the Nets already have a playmaker like Ben Simmons waiting, pairing up KD with Westbrook might end up in a nightmare. Not only will the team struggle to find a fit for Brody, but the coaching staff will also have an equally hard time managing the egos involved. Right now, it's not looking good for either part of the duo, especially since both of the teams they're on are adamant to do something. And it's not bring them back together even if it was possible. Westbrook's situation. The NBA season is drawing ever closer to reality, and Russell Westbrook is still on the Los Angeles Lakers. Not something a lot of people would have said heading out of last season given how it went. New coach Darvin Ham has said all the right things about how he'll get the most out of Westbrook. The Lakers stars have committed to making it work, and a year's experience together should theoretically lead to better results. Right? Yeah, because that's never backfired before. No matter what people in and around the organization may say, there's simply no way the Lakers can begin the 2022-23 season with the 33-year-old on the roster. There's just too much at stake and too much to lose if they try and move him mid-season when everyone will be able to see what he is and isn't doing. Moving Westbrook and his expiring $47.1 million contract should be doable, even if it means parting with future first-round picks and/or including some of the young talent on the roster. These Lakers aren't close to competing for a title, and this roster needs more shooting, defense, and depth around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The good news? There are a handful of teams out there that could use a financial reset, one Westbrook's massive expiring salary would provide. Getting draft compensation back would also help improve future flexibility for those franchises. The bad news for those hoping for a reunion is that Kevin Durant's Nets aren't one of the teams. Yes, there were rumors about a trade with the Nets before Kyrie, but that was always wishful thinking at best. Plus, the Nets are remaining firm with their own dynamic duo, and that is getting people's attention for certain reasons. Durant situation. Kevin Durant lost. That's the takeaway from the statement from the Brooklyn Nets announcing that the organization and its disgruntled superstar have agreed to move forward with our partnership after a meeting in Los Angeles between the two sides. This is the partnership that just a few weeks ago Durant demanded be dissolved so that he could be sent to the team of his choosing. It was a meeting that featured the owner, Joe Tsai, and the two men Durant had demanded be fired if he were to stay, head coach Steve Nash and general manager Sean Marks. Now the would-be divorcees claim they are focusing on basketball with one collective goal in mind: build a lasting franchise to bring a championship to Brooklyn. That's a breathtaking comedown for Durant and a seismic shift from the normal course of things when NBA superstars make demands, no matter how far-fetched they seem at the time. Perhaps two of the most glaring examples of player power run amok were near and dear enough to the Nets that they'd finally had enough. for themselves and, perhaps now, in a shift of power in the NBA at large. First, it was James Harden wanting out of Houston, and then, ironically, out of Brooklyn, eventually landing in Philly. And secondly, but connected, it was Ben Simmons refusing to play for the Sixers and heading to Brooklyn, where he still hasn't played a single minute of basketball. Both players got what they wanted, so has nearly every other superstar when unhappy. A list at one time or another that has included Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, and others. Now there's a precedent for teams who want to wrestle back some of the upper hand, a move made possible largely by the ham-fisted way KD went about things. Power is a formidable weapon when wielded wisely, for if you don't know how to manage it, you can find it suddenly in someone else's hands. Back when this mess first unfolded in July with Durant's first now-failed ultimatum, we argued that the Nets, for a variety of reasons, should simply tell him no. That's as true now as it was then, but Durant sure made it easy for Brooklyn to do. This is a world-class player with 4 years left on his contract, one who is always much less likely than Simmons to miss time because, as anyone in the NBA will tell you, Durant loves to hoop. It's a passion, a commendable and key component of his all-time greatness, and he was never likely to willingly miss time for the game he loves. That was the first point in the Nets' favor. It also helped that the Kyrie Irving debacle meant the Nets would always look to resolve the Durant situation first, and as important, demand a sizable return to disassemble a team with the lofty expectations that come with a Durant-Kyrie pairing. This wasn't some squad with a lone superstar and no real championship path forward, as with, say, the Denver Nuggets team Carmelo Anthony forced his way out of a decade ago. The Nets were a contender, at least on paper, and that meant Marks had to get the right return to save his own job. Sometimes when you have no choice, you have a strange kind of freedom. That's the spot the Nets GM found himself in. All of this was lost on Durant when he unwisely went to London and told Sy that the owner had to choose between him and Nash and Marks. It didn't work, and now he's still with the team. Dealing with it. As the internet meme wisely states, sometimes you just have to deal with it and move on. Well, both Durant and Westbrook are in positions where they honestly don't want to be in. And yet, that's exactly where they are. Call it stuck or forced into a position. The result's the same. A reunion between these two was never likely to happen. But now, it'd be both nearly impossible and impossibly foolish to do. So, what do you think? What do you think of this look at the situation between Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, as well as how the two are not doing so well with their current teams right now? Do you think one of them are likely to move from their team in the next year or so? Or are they going to be stuck in situations that they're not exactly proud of at the moment? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on the channel.